everyone, and welcome back to Hanukkah Hotties with JQ Vancouver and Tribe 12. My name is Carmel Tanaka, and I am the founder and executive director of JQ Vancouver, a Jewish, queer, and trans nonprofit dedicated to queering Jewish space and Jewifying queer space in Vancouver, BC, on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. Hajka. For Hanukkah this year, we have the honor of partnering with Tribe 12, a Jewish nonprofit whose LGBTQIA+ programming is for anyone who wants to explore the intersectionality of Jewish and queer identities. And they do this in Philadelphia, whose lands are cared for by the Lenni Lenape people, specifically of the Turtle Clan. If you do not know the land on which you live, work, and play on, check out native-land.ca. For each day of this wonderful holiday of Hanukkah, we have a Hanukkah Hottie joining us to light their Hanukkah, or perhaps share another tradition and chit chat about the wonderful things they do in life for the duration of the candles burning. For Candle 5, we are very lucky to have Arya Marvazy, the managing director over at JQ International, a LGBTQ+ and Jewish organization focused on education, outreach, and support in service of inclusion and equality for all in Los Angeles. You can find out more at jqinternational.org. Now I'm going to read a little bit more about Arya because I think it's good to have some context as to know where this lovely human has come from and the accomplishments that they've had. So born and raised in LA, so just south of the border, Arya earned his BA in psychology at UC San Diego and has a master's in organizational behavior from NYU. That's probably why we get along so well. In 2015, he returned to LA after 10 years between San Diego, Tel Aviv, and DC, encouraged by his ability to fully come out as a gay man to his family. Soon after, Arya began a body of work he had dreamt of advocating for the full equality of LGBTQ+ people and community. In 2017, Arya launched the JQ Persian Pride Fellowship, something I definitely want to learn more about, an interfaith LGBTQ+ and ally initiative training the next generation of leaders. Now, this person is lovely. I've gotten to know him quite well recently, and tuning in live from Mexico City, so not even Los Angeles. Let's bring on Arya. Hang on. Here we go. Hello.
Hello, Carmel. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe you're in Mexico City right now. And I love Mexico City. So tell me.
It's glorious. I mean, the scenario is, look, with all of the risks considered, of course, one of my dearest friends lives out here in a beautiful and big 3-bedroom apartment. And we just thought, we're all working from home anyway. How beautiful would it be to spend the holidays together and work remotely and just do the thing? So I've been out here with a couple of friends since the first night of Hanukkah, and we're lighting together every night, which has been beautiful because it's like a Jew, a Muslim, and a Catholic celebrating all holidays for this coming few weeks.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I spent some time in Mexico City and absolutely loved it. You're going to eat well. You're going to party well. Oh, I don't know how much partying is happening now in COVID times, but no partying. Right. I'm so happy for you. Well, why don't we start with you leading us with the candle blessings?
Wonderful. I'm so excited to show you all this beautiful table of decorations that my friends and I put together. It's cute actually because we also just put up her Christmas tree and decorated that last night. So this is like right here, interfaith holidays to the max.
I'm so into it.
Okay, we'll use my hand.
I'll light with you.
Beautiful. Let's get our shamash going. This is so beautiful, by the way. Honored to be called a Hanukkah Hottie, Carmel. Thank you.
Well, you legit are.
Right. Quite generous. And I will take it. It's interesting to see them lit during the day. We never really get that,
It's been really cool with all the people tuning in at various different times as they can light with us if they choose. They can
love that.
Just tune in and listen.
Wow, love.
For everyone.
Alrighty. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Blessed are you, Eternal, who made us holy through our actions and commands us to kindle the Hanukkah lights. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim la'avotenu bayamim ha'em b'zman hazeh. Blessed are you, Eternal, who perform miracles for our ancestors in their days and in this season.
Amen. I like your kippah.
Gorgeous. Thank you. It goes with me everywhere. I never forget it. Designer. One of a kind.
Love it. So I remember us meeting for the first time. It was on a JOC queer call with Keshed, and
Yes.
I saw you and I'm like, whoa, we got to connect. And we ended up doing that.
Right.
So not only did we connect during a pandemic, but we connected for 2 phone calls when the fires were happening and we were suffocating from the smoke, and nothing was going to stop us from connecting with one another.
This is the depth of connection that we had right off the bat, which was like, I need more time with you immediately and several times. And thank you for like immediately being in the mind. Of course, this is you. I gathered quickly, like immediately, like, all right, we're collaborating. Here's an idea. Here's a thing to bring to life. It's so beautiful to already be in this engagement with you. Thank you again for the invitation.
Oh, well, listen, I've been doing this for 3 years and often in many ways felt alone in my city of Vancouver. And the silver lining of COVID for me has been being able to connect with other Jewish queer professionals in various different places doing very similar work, but with a different demographic geographically as well. And so to be able to meet someone who's like me, but like not me, and to be able to commiserate, to share, to learn, it has been incredible. So I thought, as a fellow Jewish queer professional, you could walk us through and share some of the wins at JQ International in creating Jewish queer space, and also some of the challenges along the way.
It's such a powerful question that I feel like everyone will, of course, answer with like a universe of their own, right? And given, to be honest, I joined the organization in its 11th year, or going on its 11th year, and now we're going into our 16th, or we're in our 16th, going into our 17th. And the interesting thing about JQ is that, one, when it was starting off, and bless Asher Gellis, shout out to Asher Gellis, the executive director of JQ, who's also the founder. His understanding when he was in the midst of putting this whole group and organization together was, we feel split at the root. We don't get to be our full selves. It's like, you go to a Jewish space, you got to check your queerness at the door. You go to a queer space, and it's also like you got to check your religiosity at the door. Like, people are not trying to have all of that, and for understandable reasons in both ways. And so Asher's sense was, I need to create and build a world with such an incredible group of lay leaders where people can feel like wholly united and aligned and like fully expressed. And what's beautiful about JQ is that on the front end, and it speaks a bit to the challenges, on the front end, as Asher was like, this is 2004, knocking on doors and seeking donors and attempting with different federation systems and saying like, see us, hear us, support us, like know that our work has value, our community needs a space and belonging. And people were like, not now, not yet, not exactly. It's like, it was never like,
it feels like I'm going through the same thing.
It's like not like it's sometimes almost, it's not like it was ever staunch homophobia, like, no, you're a sinner, get out of here. Rather, it's this passive homophobia, which is, I love you. I totally hear what you're doing. I even have full belief in it. I can't throw money at you yet.
Not a priority right now.
Not a priority. My board maybe, my this, my that. And this is why I say, bless the guy, because he was the one that was so persistent and so intent on, I'm not taking no for an answer, and I'll start as small as I have to. For us to get where we are now, and the narrative is that the first like 9 to 10 years of the organization, it was a lot smaller function. It wasn't this like full suite 501c3 with 3 different divisions and now going on 7 employees. So some of the challenges on the front end were, of course, that sense that not yet, not now, and then a success, and I'll dip and go back up again, but a major success is that those people did finally come around. And similarly, got to give major kudos to the Jewish Federation of Los Angeles, because I talk to queer Jewish professionals across the country, and they are not getting funding from their federations the way that we are. And the type of investment where it's many different parts of our work are being funded separately by the LA Jewish Federation, and they truly believe in us as a core partner. So mad love and respect, and thank you for that, sort of imperative work. And then we get to another dip, which is, I actually think, and I'm curious to hear your input on this, when we begin to sort of show immense success and continue to grow, and let's say marriage equality passes in the US, and people are queer on television and in films, and everyone's kind of look, it seems like things are pretty good. It seems like things are fine. I don't know that anyone is suffering from queerness anymore. And it's these people who are in hubs in LA or New York or Miami or Boston or big cities, it seems like things seem pretty well. So I'm going to now divert my donorship elsewhere. And it's first of all, we're nowhere near where we need to be in our work, let alone what the last 4 years in the American reality have done to queer people. What has happened to us as people and as a movement, as a community. We've been set back so deeply that I think a challenge again becomes the sense that no, this work is as imperative as ever right now. We need you more than ever, even though we have some of the most rights we've ever had, relatively speaking. So
there's still so much work to be done.
That being it, yeah. And so again, success, the team is as large as it's ever been. We've got this amazing, we just brought on a new intern from HUC and our new senior development manager, Shauna, both huge pluses for our team. And we are in a stage of real growth. So if you're out there and you're interested and want to do Jewish queer things, I should say, by the way, it is based in LA, and it's also a Jewish organization informed by Jewish values. But our principle and ethics are around this being informed by Jewish values and for everyone. So we want this to be an interfaith experience in everything we do, right? And similarly, it's in LA, but we serve and engage with and do work all over the world. So there's expansive opportunities for the type of stuff that we could do with anyone who might be interested in listening. Hey! Well, this is going to happen anyway.
I know. I mean, friend for life, but also partner in crime, doing this kind of work. Yeah.
Yes, totally. Lots of that.
It gives me hope talking to you, to be honest. I'm not trying to get super mushy here, but just mushy. Knowing, just knowing that there will be JQT is definitely on the upswing. We are finally a nonprofit. Even though I'm a volunteer executive director, we're looking at trying to turn this into contract work and then trying to find grants in order to help support, because we just did a fundraiser, and I'm legit just telling you what we have in the bank. We've got $2,000. We raised about $3,000 in, with in-kind donations, a new computer, which I'm using, a printer, an office. People have been very generous, but that doesn't pay someone's salary in order to do this full-time. In this job, it's
full-time and a half, right?
Full-time. It's exactly. It's my life.
The line in the nonprofit sector is you have 3 times the responsibilities at half the normal salary. That's our universe. It's and then people kind of bank on your passion to keep you going. So.
Right. And I'm sure you can relate to this as well, because I have stalked you in other places and heard you talk. This is before we went on the Kesha call. I researched everyone.
Oh, nice.
All these people. And our community, JQT, is not only just for Jewish and queer people. It's for Jews who, for lack of better words, haven't felt included in Jewish community. Or are not interested in the religious portion of the Jewish community, or want a safe place to explore their spirituality. And so with that comes people who are non-halakhically Jewish, who come from interfaith families or are in interfaith relationships. Similarly, there's a lot of correlation with Jewish queer people and disability. So advocating for that. Also, Jewish queer people who are POC, people of color, or JOCs, Jews of color. And so we're this mix of a lot of intersecting communities at one time, and trying to advocate and to spread awareness of the support that is so needed for all of these people. And in addition to that, I get also asks from the senior LGBTQ Jewish community that we want support for senior care and all of this. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do that with only $2 in the bank?
Yeah. I applaud you. I applaud your leadership and your volunteerism, and the line about the leaders, paid or otherwise, of nonprofit movements are the greatest donors to those movements. Because the truth is, if you were to do any such amount of work for any for-profit entity, you'd be rolling in it. And, you know, you're doing this from a place of heart and vision. And I know that feeling. I totally parallel it. And I wish you the best. Eager to continue seeing you all grow. I know that it will be the case with you at the helm.
Well, and in the meantime, until we do find consistent income and revenue, it'll be partnership work. And so very thankful to be able to meet so many incredible humans who are doing very similar work. Some are volunteer and some are paid in their positions. That it's been such a joy, honestly. I couldn't have done the Hanukkah series if it weren't for partnerships. Amen.
It's amazing. Keep it up.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being also a fellow Jew of color, we resonated a lot on that in our private conversation. So I thought maybe you could elaborate a little bit more on what it's been like to bring community together in the Persian queer community and also in the Persian Jewish community.
Yeah, well, that could be like a 3-hour long call, but
I mean, you've got 12 minutes left.
No, to summarize, I mean, in a sense, thank you for that question, and thank you, helicopter, for bringing us gorgeous noise on a live call. So it sounds like it's landing on the building right now.
It's not too bad on my end.
Okay, nice, very good. So, as I grew up, as with so many of us queer people, and I think there's even more examples of queer people of color that may have experienced this, the internal sense that my future is not guaranteed, that I don't have a place within my own community, and I don't belong, and I don't know how I'm gonna sort of figure this out. And most of that coming from the sense that, not only the sense that this is clearly not okay because people are speaking homophobically around me, but then also the sense that I don't exist. The adult version of me does not exist. I don't see out gay Iranians, not at Shabbat dinner and not at bar and bat mitzvahs and not at weddings. And if you know what Persians are 750 people at a wedding, you think maybe you'd find
statistically there should be.
Just statistically, right? So I really, unfortunately did have this internalized sense that I could never have the life that I know that I deserve amongst my own friends and family and community. And luckily, after college, when I was still in San Diego, API fraternity brother that was Jewish and Persian and from Los Angeles, so kind of like a mirror image in a way, he decided to come out to me, and that was the first time I saw myself reflected in anyone, and was like, okay, we're gonna start picking this apart. And from that moment in whatever year it was, 2009, to now just 5 years ago, when I posted a video on Facebook coming out of the closet, that was a 7-year journey of the first person to the world. And my sense about coming out to the world in this sort of public way was, I didn't want anyone else to feel who's the example? Who do I bind my future to and say, okay, well, he could do it. What about myself? And as it relates to being a Persian Jew and choosing to become a full-time LGBTQ activist as an Iranian Jew, it's been incredibly blessed, incredibly challenging. There is the pushback from those individuals that are how dare you do this in the name of Judaism? How dare you, make people think that this is okay, safe. And I mean, just terrible, terrible homophobic things. And I will tell you honestly, 95+% of the response has been thank you so much for doing that for our community and for finally saying the thing and for naming it and for us beginning to work on this together. And now for the past 5 years, 4 of which has been at JQ, 4.5 even, to be able to like be running one of the only Iranian queer programs. And similarly, it's like all of the Iranian queer work is interfaith, like the Persian Pride Fellowship has Muslim participants and Baha'i participants, like people from all different walks of life. Well, the majority are Jewish, if I'm being honest. I can tell you that the sort of, to close out this piece, just the energetic shift that's happened, not only in Los Angeles, but I think that's resonating in Iranian communities around the world, that there is this movement. There's another wonderful organization called Raha International, which is started by a former JQ board member that went off and started like an Iranian queer movement that's just strictly non-religious. And, you know, there is now the people to turn to, the communities to suggest like, we're going to be safe, it's going to be okay. Parent support groups, ally train, like all culturally specific. Because again, like I couldn't tell my parents, go to PFLAG and get what you need, because they need to speak to other Iranian parents to be able to process what it's like to culturally, you know, experience this. And it's been the greatest blessing of my entire life to be able to bring light to a community where I did certainly suffer in silence for a very long time, but now get to absorb the energy and joy of helping others not ever have to feel that sort of darkness.
And thank you so much for leading the way for so many people in your community. I'm sure the youth today are enjoying the path that you've paved.
I hope
and
so.
They're now having a different reality, a reality where they can celebrate who they are and be who they want to be. So that's incredible.
Amen. That
and
is
I also can't wait to come to LA eventually and attend your big, massive Persian queer parties.
Yes. We'd love to have you with us. They are some of the most unique spaces on planet Earth. Like a couple of years ago, listen, we did something called the Persian Pride Variety Show in 2018 and had a male Persian belly dancer and a Persian drag queen and 2 Persian comedians. And like, it was a night of Iranian queer entertainment in the heart of Los Angeles. And nearly 200 people showed up for it. And we were and I did get phone calls saying like, you shouldn't do this. Like you're pushing the envelope too far. Like why a drag queen? Why? And I'm just like, I thank you. And I didn't ask for your opinion.
Right.
Like we will lead as we see fit.
Precisely.
Merci, Khodafes. Like goodbye. But that's it. It's like we got to continue doing it. And I must say, by the way, like, and thank you to the Iranian queer elders that even from behind closed doors, and then at the beginning stages of my activism too, I got to meet a handful of them in LA, like 2 of whom, my friends Shervin and Joseph, were on the cover of the LA Times because they were, you know, pushing people to be coming out and whatnot. So, you know, I had the blessing of social media and this like young adult universe, whereas they were like some of those matriarchs and patriarchs and people that like helped get these movements started, and they also get so much of the blessings and gratitude.
Great. Well, on a more personal note, how are you celebrating being Jewish and queer these days?
How am I celebrating it? I love that question because it just like invokes joy. I think for me, you know, what's interesting is like the fact that I think you might agree it's really tough to separate the personal and the professional. Like my world is queer activism, my world is Jewish communal engagement, and I am a Jewish queer human. And like, you know, I can honestly say something like this, by the way, although it's like within a workday, is like such a moment of celebrating who I am and like the world that I get to belong to, which again, like merits a hearty toda rabah. Thank you so much, because you and I talking and you and I having this opportunity to just be ourselves and share of ourselves is like the dream. That was the dream then. was like, I hope that one day I can just functionally live and express, and nobody will think, you know, more than two ways about it. Like, so this is one of those ways. And I think the other way is that I do take some genuine pleasure in pushing the envelope a little bit. Like, you know, before it was like, am I going to come out and get disowned? Am I going to come out and like truly harm my family or my community? Because in a reputation-based society, even your cousin's actions affect your life. It's like everyone is a family unit, and nuclear means everyone that's a first cousin and an aunt and uncle. So now, like then, I was so fearful of everything I said and did. And not to say that today I'm not measured, I'm quite measured about what I put in social media and all the rest, but I am a lot more authentic. I am a lot more sure of who I am, and also just like secure with the sense that if I'm putting it down and you're not picking it up, that's okay. You got 7.5 other billion people on planet Earth to engage with, learn with, talk to, learn from, follow a social media account. So just this like unapologetic authenticity is my way of like celebrating the light that is Jewish queerness today. And I hope we can, I know that that's very privileged to say, because so few people have that. And even myself, it's not like I can, you know, throw on a wig and a pair of heels and just be sassy on Instagram. Like that would be too much to like to my own community. But so much as I am like my full self at all times, that's me celebrating. And I hope that, you know, people like yourself and myself can continue to make it so that other people can get to that point when it's right, and most importantly, safe for them.
Right. Safety is such a huge thing, and timing, and
It's
a lot of
everything,
people
yeah.
are, you know, living in hiding in their own families, not being welcomed or for who they are. And I'm just so thankful
Right.
that I come from a family that welcomes me and accepts me. And
Amen.
yeah, so
Amen.
it's been good.
Can never be understated.
No, not at all.
The value of
I
that.
remember I said to my parents, I was like, you know, I'm queer, and I was at the time I was skiing, and they were like, Carmi, we already know. How's the snow? Literally, it was like that was it. It was. Yeah.
You know, like speaking to the whole, it's interesting that in micro community, I always say that, like, look, I don't speak for all Iranians, I don't speak for all Jews, and I don't speak for all queer people. And certainly do not speak for the intersection of those things. I'm just a example of. And that being said, I know that I have spoken to so many people in my own community that are sort of frustrated with the sense that other people do have recommendations about how to come out, like who to do it with, like what to say. And I'm just like, no, like this is so problematic. Like a Caucasian person can't tell a Mexican person, this is how you deal with your family's life, in the same way that I wouldn't, as a Persian person, turn to a Japanese person and say, maybe try this. You know, it's more like listen in for a person telling you what they are going through and let them be the authors of their actions. Like, there's no recommendations, you know what I mean? Outside of course, self-care, self-preservation, like seeking help for oneself. But since we can't control the reactions of people around us, I find it so problematic that people think that they can say, do this, try that. You know, I just think people need to do more listening than suggesting, you know, as it relates to like queer support, queer allyship.
For sure. So much resonates right now. And I'm looking forward to hearing more what you've got in store. It sounds like JQ International has a really epic Hanukkah event coming up later this week.
Yes, please join us wherever you are in the world this Thursday, 6:30 Pacific time. We have what we call Guilty Pleasures. It's our annual Hanukkah party. It's like one of our only like most strictly social events. We do some storytelling and whatnot, but drag queen bingo, 5 rounds, some drag performances between the drag queen bingo. And there's like prizes to be won that'll get mailed to the winners. And there's like a little decoration competition of like either your Zoom screen or your outfit. Whoever wears the most festive one will win some games. We'd love to have you with us to like end this very mad and chaotic year with just a joyful bang.
So how do people sign up?
Yes, jqinternational.org. You can go to our different events on the webpage. Also on Facebook, if you just search Gelty, Gelty, Pleasures 2020, you'll find the event. And you can sign up there. It's an $18 donation to the organization to play. You can also sign up for free and just watch. If you'd rather not like play the game, but you want to laugh at the drag and enjoy the like performances and whatnot, you don't have to contribute or play. You could just show up to be there. Check us out at jqinternational.org or Guilty Pleasures 2020 on Facebook.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. And I love the fact that it's called Guilty Pleasures.
Yeah. Puns.
I know, so good. So we've talked a lot today about a number of topics. We talked about what it's like to be Jewish queer professionals, being Jews of color, how do we celebrate being Jewish and queer. And I thought if there isn't anything that you've said yet that you wanted to say, if there's something you'd like to add.
You're so sweet to offer that, because I'm probably people who have heard me before, like, okay, it's a broken record, enough with that, but I will say it in every space that I can. I just want to mark the difference for anyone who's listening between a supporter of the LGBTQ community and an ally of the LGBTQ community, and we love and need both. So I'm not like saying, certainly one is more helpful to us. The supporter loves us, believes in our equality, says it, even maybe expresses that love, like, it's all good, love you, love you, love you, and ends there. The ally, the one difference is that ally actually takes action in their life, measurable, tangible action, be that through a signature on a petition, posting something that is pro-LGBTQ, showing up to a pride event, asking their friend how they're doing on Transgender Day of Remembrance. That the ally takes action, and now more than ever, we need more allies. Like, we need the allyship to be visible, audible, and like to be able to feel it in our hearts, minds, and bodies. And thank you for considering, if you are a supporter, moving up into that allyship space.
Oh, excellent. I'm so glad you raised that. And 100%. Many thanks to Arya for joining us for Candle 5 of Hanukkah Hotties with JQ and Tribe 12. Be sure to follow their work at jqinternational.org. Thank you also to Tribe 12, our partner organization. You can follow us on social media. There will be links in the chat. Up next, we have Candle 6 with the wonderful Angelika Paversky, a queer non-binary Russian Jewish poet in Vancouver at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, and that's 3:30 Eastern Time. Looking forward to having you all join us. Happy Hanukkah and Chag Hanukkah Sameach.
Thank you so much, Carmel. Happy Hanukkah.
Yay, happy Hanukkah.